My name is Savannah Cross. I'm 30. For most of my life, I was the person who quietly held my family together. When my mother fell short on bills, I paid them. When my sister needed tuition, I covered it. When family trips were planned, I was always the one who filled the financial gap. If I said no, I was called selfish. So I rarely said it. My mother, Marilyn, never directly asked for help. She just made it feel like a moral failure if I didn't offer it. My sister, Talia, was the opposite. She expected everything. No gratitude, no hesitation. Just taking. My boyfriend, Ethan, was the only person who ever told me the truth. They don't love you more because you pay, he said once. They just expect it now. I didn't fully believe him until the family vacation. It was a luxury resort trip. Expensive, planned in the group chat like I didn't have a choice in it. I booked time off, bought clothes, arranged everything like I always did. I genuinely thought I was going. The morning of departure, I arrived with my suitcase. My mother didn't even look at me properly. We decided you'd be happier staying home, she said. I laughed, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. My sister Talia actually smiled. You hate long flights anyway, she added. I didn't argue. I didn't scream. I just put my suitcase back in my car and watched them leave without me. That was the moment something shifted, because a few hours later, I received a message. My share of the trip, $15,600, after excluding me. They still expected me to pay. In the past, I might have done it just to keep peace. This time, I didn't. I sent $50 instead with a message, to be continued. Ethan looked at me like I had finally woken up. And I had, because while they were enjoying their vacation, I started paying attention to something I had ignored for years. The pattern. I paid, they demanded. I gave, they took. I disappeared, they continued living like nothing changed. So I did something different. I stopped reacting and started preparing. Then something unexpected happened. I wasn't as alone as I thought. I called my grandparents for the first time in years. I told them everything: the exclusion, the disrespect, the way I was treated like a wallet instead of family. There was a long silence after I finished. Then my grandfather simply said, "We're coming." They didn't ask permission. They didn't debate it. They arrived the next morning, calm and certain. When we reached the resort together, everything changed. My mother and sister were at the front desk when they saw me walk in with my grandparents. The confidence they had on vacation cracked instantly. My grandfather checked us in calmly. My grandmother didn't even look at them at first until she spoke. "If you thought leaving Savannah behind was acceptable," she said quietly, "you're wrong." That was the first time. My mother had no answer. Dinner that night confirmed everything. My grandparents didn't shout. They didn't need to. They simply asked questions neither my mother nor sister could dodge. Why was I always paying? Why was I treated differently? Why was my support expected but never respected? By the end of the meal, the atmosphere had collapsed. And then came the truth I never expected. My grandparents revealed they had been watching this pattern for years, and they were done with it. The inheritance, the control, the financial structure of the family, they changed it. My sister and mother would no longer control anything, and I would. Not later, now. The reaction was immediate: shock, panic, arguments, tears. But nothing changed the decision. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the one being overlooked. I was the one being protected. After the trip, everything unraveled fast. My mother tried emotional pressure. My sister tried guilt. Then manipulation. Then threats through lawyers. Even attempts to paint me as unstable. None of it worked anymore, because for once, I wasn't alone and I wasn't reacting blindly. I documented everything, quietly, clearly, calmly. And when my mother finally stood in front of me again and said, "I don't recognize you anymore," I answered honestly, "That's because you only recognized me when I said yes." That was the end of the cycle. Not loud, not dramatic. Just final. Months later, life didn't become perfect, but it became peaceful. No more demands disguised as love. No more financial pressure. No more roles I never chose. Ethan once asked me if I would go back if they apologized. I would listen, I said. But I wouldn't return to who I was before, because that version of me quiet, obedient, always giving was gone, and I didn't miss her for the first time. I understood something simple but permanent. Family isn't proven by sacrifice, and love isn't measured in what you lose. It's measured in what you finally stop allowing.